Fantastic. So, Pamela, do you just want to give a quick introduction to yourself and your background, and then we'll get into the conversation?
Yeah, okay. So I was one of the founding members of Alibaba and Alipay in Europe. I'm from Taiwan. I came to England to study my MBA degree, and I worked for Commit afterwards for the e-commerce team. And after 2-3 years, when I was working in Commit, but then Alibaba set up their first office in Europe. So they found me because they needed a person who was specialized in digital marketing and also who can bridge the gap between the headquarters and Europe. So I was with them quite starting. I was number 7 as an employee, and I was with them for 10 years in total. So for the first 5 years, I was with Alibaba.com. And then the second half, I was with Alipay. For Alibaba.com and Alipay, I managed to launch the brand and bring the company to more than 10 countries in Europe and the Middle East. In 2019, I decided to quit because it's actually super intense. It's also a very long time of my career journey. It's 10 years. So I decided to quit and just to reflect on, what I would like to do next. I started doing equity market investment, mainly in US stock market. And I realized even to today, I'm doing much better than the market benchmark, like SPY in general. So last year I thought, okay, I love investment because I love numbers. That's why I started my career as a digital marketer. And actually, the biggest learning I learned through my Alibaba time was that I'm really passionate about startups. I just love to see the journey and see, how they've overcome all these challenges and grow the business. So I started doing angel investing last year, and that's how I tapped into sort of VC today.
Yeah, and you invest with Alma Angels as well, and then independently, is that right?
So I'm in a couple of different syndicates, Alma and also Hsieh Ventures, Hermesa, and also Untitled. So focus on female founders and founders from underrepresented backgrounds.
Awesome. So we're going to talk for everybody that's interested in the investment side. We'll talk about that at the end, but we're going to start with kind of any learnings that you think that you can share with the cohort from your time at Alibaba, especially around go-to-market strategy and customer acquisition. So like I just said to you before everybody arrived, we've got a lot of startups on the call. Some of them may have launched, some of them might be pre-launch. They're all raising their next round of funding, and they want to spend the money that they've got wisely in order to hit the goals that they need to hit in order to be able to then go on and raise again. So customer acquisition is super important, and it's also something that we're asking them about every single week to report on. So to get started, like you obviously kind of started Alibaba and then launched into a bunch of different European countries, like you mentioned. As a high level, what was your initial plan to build brand awareness, and how did it play out?
Yeah. So when I joined Alibaba back in 2009, so just some background information. It's a B2B platform to help buyers and the suppliers to find each other, and the majority of the buyers are based in Asia. So the remit here in Europe is to actually grow more buyers, build brand awareness to make more people know about Alibaba and would use the Alibaba platform to find the suppliers. And when I joined the team back in 2009, the brand awareness was low. So one example was when I quit my previous company, I was actually told to see the general manager. She was shocked. She was like, "You are doing so great here. Why would you want to leave for a company that nobody has heard of," right? Like people didn't know what it was. And also, general brand awareness was low. And when I joined the team, we had a digital marketing, and we were kind of full swing just on launching different paid search advertising and also display advertisement. I have to say, like a few months after I joined in, I was a bit shocked because the CPA was super high. Then we quickly changed the approach. So we started talking to the buyers, really trying to understand their pain point. And what we learned was that it's not that they first, okay, some of them don't know the brand, but then a lot of them actually use the brand, and with some bad experiences, after some bad experiences, they just didn't want to use the platform anymore, and they actually were the ones spread the word to other potential buyers. So the pain points we realized at that time was not just about brand awareness, but it's about education as well. So then, which is why we launched a series of like Alibaba educational program. So it's not just about, okay, we try to, ask them to come to our website and then hope they would just convert by themselves. It's about really understand what's stopping them from using the platform, and then how could we help them to solve the problems they have. So for example, so trust was a big problem for us. Then we started working with trying to, and we also learned that just by ourselves, like nobody would like to hear from us. We were new to the market, so we started trying to build an ecosystem, like the partners around us. So we reached out to UKTI and the British Chamber of Commerce, and also we invited our real buyers who have managed to use the platform successfully to share their experiences. So I guess my biggest learning was that it's not just simple like, oh, we go to the market, we launch digital ads, then it would work. You really need to know who your clients are and really know them inside out, what's their pain points, exactly what problem you are solving. And you build the content and the leadership and actually ecosystem, so the leadership around that. And then that's how you could build your marketing channels around the important content that you want to address.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Just out of interest from the people in the room, how many people here have heard of Alibaba now? Can you just raise your hand or do the emoji raise hand? Yeah. So it worked. 10 years on, it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after you identified that there was kind of an education piece and a partnership piece to the puzzle, and thought leadership and things that you needed to do in order to build trust. So then I guess you rolled out a few different things where you were educating people and working with partners. How did you kind of measure what was successful and what you should spend your time focusing on?
That's a good question. So probably everybody knows that it requires multiple touch points before one person could remember you and also try to come back to use your service. So I guess it's not about just one channel, it's about building all these touch points. So to address trust and brand awareness, at that time we actually had some budget. So we learned that in the UK, the most effective way was actually TV ad. So we launched TV ad, but not just TV ad. We also launched other digital marketing activities to support that TV ad. Later on, we also, as I mentioned, the educational program, we started building like Alibaba educational series. Like they come with us, like you don't need to spend a lot on that to build content, because you can just send a photographer and they go to UKTI, they would film somebody and share their experience and just some advice on how they could help companies to grow. So with that, then the content is there on our YouTube channel. Then again, we did a like YouTube ad and also all the social media activities to go around that. And I guess the important thing is you have to know like where they like what do they do on daily basis, your customers, and try to build different touch points around it. And we actually did attribution channel, so not just the end of like if you only look at the single channels like in silo, you might have thought okay, the last channel, which usually is the paid search, is the most effective channel. But without the previous channels to bring to grow the brand awareness, people will actually not go to Google to search you. So I guess all the previous channels, they also weigh something, and we look at across all touch point, the whole paid journey to see which channels we should have them, like which channels we should have them in order to have the best result.
Yeah. So I guess it makes it quite difficult to measure ROI because you don't know whether the fact that they searched on Google was because they saw like 7 different things in the past that built trust in order that they then.
So with the cookie, we actually could track the whole journey, and we just say, okay, the first channel and the last channel were the most important ones. The middle channels were maybe just 10%. So we gave different attribution to different channel. But I guess like for a start, because we had a enough budget, and we used actually marketing agency to run that practice for us. But I guess for a startup, depends on you are B2B and B2C. I guess now it's also a very different time from 10 years ago. I find I actually learned some like best practice with some other startups as well. So if you are doing like a B2B like SaaS service, maybe actually people told me that now, like CEO, you have to be the thought leadership. Like you have to be out there on social media, on LinkedIn, try to do some webinars, try to be the one contributing to important industry updates, or try to speak to events. So you have to be, every CEO should be the thought leaders in your domain to be the domain expert. So that's how you would reach out to your potential clients. If you are B2C, I heard a couple of companies, they target like young generations. So TikTok apparently is something very, very effective, much more effective than Facebook and Twitter nowadays. So I guess time is shifting, and you just need to keep update.
Yeah. Is there anything from your experience that you thought was going to work and then it just didn't have the results that you wanted, so you kind of killed it? And if so, how did you know that it was time? Like, I'm just thinking if other people kind of trying a whole bunch of different stuff, not exactly sure what's going to work, what should you be monitoring, and when do you know when to kind of just turn that stream off?
I think it's very good that we try, because marketing is all about you go out to try different channels, different ways of reaching out to your customers, and you just need to measure the result against that, like the cost per acquisition or the volume that you can drive from that specific channel. Sometimes, like for some channels, the CPA is very low, but then you only get like a few clicks a day, so it's actually not working that way. So I guess it's important to try and just see. You have to be able to measure the result on at least weekly basis, and then to decide switch on and switch off.
Yeah. And you were just looking at customer acquisition cost, or was there other KPIs that you were measuring as well?
I guess so. Also, like if you use that channel to bring a customer in, like what's the value they are bringing in the long term, right? For some channels, you can, for example, TikTok, it's proven that you can bring in like customers. I actually heard that you could drive the cost now to £1 a user. But then do they stay at on the platform? Do they continue using your service after 3 months? I think retention from that channel is also very important to measure. So it's the cost per acquisition compared to versus the value they are bringing from that channel. So you have to measure both.
Yeah. Did you find that when you were launching into other geographies, the same approach that you did in the UK was needed again? So you focused on the thought leadership and the education and building trust, or were there different things that worked in different countries?
I think overarching activity is very similar. So it's all around building trust and also building useful content around that, and then launch marketing activities to push that content to your customer. But for some countries, for example, in Germany or Italy, it's quite a relationship driven. So we actually launched more like face-to-face events there. Like in Germany, there are a lot of trade shows or B2B events that you could go to. So we actually used to launch a lot of activities at the trade shows in Germany. And in Italy, it's the same. We also had local partners in Italy to just help us roll out Alibaba.
Yeah. If you were launching Alibaba today into the UK and you were in the same position, so nobody had heard of it, and you had limited budget or no budget, what would be your plan in terms of kind of what would you do as your go-to-market strategy if it was today?
If it's today, I would still, I still think thought leadership is the way to go. And I would have a spokesperson like who really know about the market and also the pain points that the customers are experiencing, and build thought leadership on LinkedIn. And also working with different partners. Like actually, I think for Alibaba, it would be more or less the same, like working with UKTI, British Chamber of Commerce, and with other brands. Now they are, for example, e-commerce companies who are lending to e-commerce brands, or logistics companies. So like people who when they need a logistics service, it can imply they also need to find a supplier on Alibaba.com. So trying to build the whole ecosystem beyond just your digital marketing activities, working with partners who are attacking the same customers as you.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. We've got a couple of questions that have come in on the chat. We're gonna ask you a few questions as well about your thoughts on angel investing. But I think considering it's kind of totally different topic, we might just do some questions now about kind of your experience with Alibaba and go to market, and then I'll take over again and do some questions about angel investing, and then we'll ask questions about that. So question from the chat from Mark. If you're in a more competitive market, what makes a brand or business stand out and take significant market share?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because when I think, for Alibaba, we didn't have a real competitor, but it's not easy to not have a competitor today. So you have to know, like, in the competitive landscape, what makes you better or what makes you unique compared to other service providers. So for example, I'm actually advising a logistics company, and there are actually a lot of different logistics softwares in the market. It's super fragmented. But then we actually did a lot of research, spoke to our target audience, realizing we should target like not SMEs, but medium-sized above or enterprise customers. And also the USP for these customers actually is flexibility. It's not just about very good pricing or you have a lot of integrations. So I guess it's about you have to know among all the competitors which segment of customers would be your sweet spot, and what unique selling point other people don't have in this sweet spot is the one you have to focus on and just continue delivering the same messages to them.
Thanks, Pamela. Purdy, may I just ask a really quick follow-up on that?
Yeah, sure.
Once you've figured out what your USP is and how you're different versus competitors, how do you communicate that? I know there's probably no one size fits all, but I've seen some companies be really bullish about this, right? And they almost call out their competitors and what they do wrong, and then they'll say how they're different and ultimately better. And other ones, it's a bit more subtle. So for B2B SaaS tool targeting like digital product teams, it's quite professional what we're doing in terms of the context of our market and who we serve. I just love to know your thoughts in terms of once you've figured out that USP, how do you actually go about communicating that to your target audience?
So they are like depends on who you are targeting. Again, I so far I find thought leadership is very important, right? So we do a lot of events and also LinkedIn hosting webinars, and there are also ways to find out the contact details of your customer audience and try to reach out to them via emails. And the same target audience, you can also reach out to them via LinkedIn. Yeah, so I don't know if it's helpful, but yeah, I guess again it's all around like paid search, and also you need to just have your channels all on LinkedIn, events, and also paid search.
Thanks, Pamela. Very helpful.
We have a question from John in the chat. Partnering with other brand partners to leverage existing communities is part of John's marketing strategy. For our B2C arm or service, they offer a B2B2C experience. Actually, John, it might be easier for you to give some context if you don't mind, and take yourself off mute and just explain your business model. So Pamela has some context.
Hey, so essentially, when you've got B2C, we've got a B2C arm of what we do as well as B2B, but we're a streaming service, and for example, leveraging other brands to and their existing communities to, rather than going and just paying ad spend and trying to trickle effect, you're trying to tap into, let's say, another B Corp that has a like-minded vision for the planet like we do. Partnering together, we have a similar community. So that means that their end consumer and our end consumer can benefit from each other. Now, when a larger entity or corporation has many more like a much larger audience base, the value exchange is less, even if our quality of content is a great offering for their end consumer. And so often a larger brand may not care, or they may require some sort of marketing affiliation fee towards it. I wondered what your thoughts were on trying to leverage larger brands to tap into their communities, because their end consumer also shares your values, but you're in different sectors.
Is it around the partnership side?
Yeah. So like brand partnerships, rather, even for the in a simplest form of like offering one part is you could offer one another's end consumers 10% off each, so you do an email exchange each. That's a partnership one. The other one is that they could offer the streaming service to their end consumer, but everyone who uses the code of New Yonder gets a cost per acquisition for that brand. So they're like different marketing tactics which enhances their end consumers' experience, because they're given something great. But it's about kind of understanding a bit more how we could develop that further, because some larger brands just don't care, because you don't have the equal amount of community leverage.
Yeah, no, I get. So I guess the challenge is on how to find the right partners to work with, and how do you engage with them. It does perhaps you don't need to go with the largest brands to start with. Maybe try with smaller brands, who are in the same, sort of in the same position as you. That's one thing. But the other thing is, again, continue build yourself as the thought leadership, and really know exactly what value you are adding to the brand, and also to their customers. So perhaps their incentive is not the money, right? These brands, they are not short of money. Perhaps there are some other elements you could bring in to help the brands to engage more with their customers. For example, increased engagement or increased retention, or some feature they don't have on their platform that you could bring in to really add value. So I find that adding value is more important than bringing in extra revenue for big brands nowadays.
Yeah, totally. That's really helpful. Thank you. Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll go to one last question in the chat, and then we'll go to the raised hands. So Susan asked, how important is PR in the mix of channels?
Yeah, I think PR is important. It's you like when I keep mentioning building thought leadership, and you could have it's kind of touching into PR. What I have been finding challenging is to find the right PR agency and the PR expertise to help brands to do that, because it's very difficult to measure. Like any PR activity, like usually it's offline, it's speech, it's very, very hard to measure the result. So I guess PR I have no question about PR. I think it's finding the right person who doesn't just, like a lot of them just ask monthly retainer fee. And after a few months, a lot of times I've worked for a lot of brands, or like just heard many stories. It's harder to see what has been done, like what has been achieved. So I guess it's very, you can find some digital, like some PR person or agency who are more focused on the measurement, to be able to deliver the result. I guess that's the challenge. That's the challenging part.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Stamina, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong.
No, it's okay, Phil. Thank you. Pamela, thank you so much. I really enjoy your presentation with the life experiences. That's very valuable. So you highlighted 4 important elements as an investor. And I'm picking those and deliberately excluding traction in revenue. So if you had to put your cap as an investor and you're looking at a prospect, out of the 4, how can you rate in order of importance to you as an investor the following items? Brand strength, you spoke about this in the beginning. Knowing your customers, that was your second highlighted point. You spoke about what problem you're solving. And the final one that you're emphasizing a lot is leadership. So if you had to rate those as an investor, 1, 2, 3, 4, which one would you put in, what order you would put those?
Yeah. So as an investor, like I thought that's going. I mean, the first thing I would see is actually the traction. For example, and the speed to achieve that traction as well. So, for example, the ARR you have driven within what time frame, or the number of users you have on board to your platform. But on top of that, if it's like earlier than that stage, I've been actually also impressed by some companies who could show, for example, they are addressing this problem, and they have really gone out to speak to the potential clients. In the data room, I could see, for example, they already interviewed 100 people they believe their target audience, and the detailed reports to show, what the questions they ask, or like they have answered yes, they would be paying how much for how long for the service. And it just gave me a lot of confidence. Yeah, although it's like a pre-seed or very, very early stage, but it shows they really have gone out to speak to their clients. That's something which is very positive to me. The other thing is on the problem side, I would like to see, is it really is the product or service solving the root cause of the problem? It goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Once you speak to your clients, you would kind of understand, are you delivering the right solution? Some examples, I've seen a lot of HR tech recently. So some of them are helping recruiters to filter the CVs, and some of them are helping recruiters to go out to the LinkedIn profile, to find the right candidates. I actually spoke to my recruiter friends. He told me the most challenging thing in the market now is to find the positions, on the other side of the spectrum, actually not to find the candidates. And also the amount of time you save to have AI to filter the CVs may not be so useful to a lot of recruiters. Unless you are in, Meta or like Google, you receive thousands of CVs a day. So if you speak to your audience, you would know whether you are creating is really useful to them, or So I guess that's and then you would be able to demonstrate to me, are you solving the root cause of the problem? Mm-hmm. So that's something I would like to see on top of tractions.
Yeah, so basically your priorities will be, firstly, your prospect must know their customers, and number 2, your prospect has to solve a certain problem.
Yeah, the real problem.
That's the important, real problem. And basically brand strength and leadership, you would rate this after those two first important.
I think these can be built once you figure out the fundamentals.
Okay.
And actually, just to add, the third one would be, is the market size big enough for you? It can be you are solving a real problem, but there is no market for it.
Brilliant, brilliant, fantastic. Thank you very much. That's very helpful.
We'll go back and there's some other questions that we'll ask about your angel investments. And if anybody does have questions about that, then there'll be an opportunity to ask that later as well. David.
Yeah, thank you. It's really valuable insights. It's kind of a follow-up of the previous question in terms of, understanding that you know your USP, you know your target audience. In the context, I don't know if you invest in B2C, I mean, it's that part of the conversation, but provided that there's so much noise out there everywhere, there are so many brands competing for, very, very limited amount of time. Related to the go-to-market, what are you seeing, maybe from a B2C perspective? How do you stand out from, or what channels you're seeing are be more popularized? Obviously, TikTok had an edge maybe a while ago, but maybe it's rapidly being commoditized because everyone's chasing it. So I don't know if you're seeing certain particular channels. Facebook is probably dead. I don't know if you see Instagram. I mean, how are you seeing what are the channels are kind of still having an edge for B2C brands in particular?
Oh, that's a very challenging question, right? Because now it's like I'm actually very shocked at the acquisition cost nowadays. When I launched Alibaba, the cost per click was like 10p, 20p. Now it's like crazy, right? So I think B2C is quite challenging, and I would suggest try to think if it's possible to launch B2B2C model. So try to build ambassadors, try to build your affiliate, try to partner with other brands to reach out to their audience. I just find, I don't know, the media is super, super expensive now, no matter which channel you go to. I've tried also programmatic marketing, and I find it useful, but that requires some specific amount of budget in order to do that.
What is that? Sorry, I don't know what that is.
Programmatic marketing. So it's you can identify, for example, the demographic and also the interest of the clients. Actually, there are so many parameters that you can set up, and also based on the context. So if they are reading a specific piece of news, then they must be also interested in something related to that. So it's much more sophisticated than you just go to a specific channel, try to find your audience. But I have to say the budget you need for that is quite significant. That's something you could consider later on. But I think now you just need to try to find the right partners to work on, or affiliates to try to work on this with you. And if you have among your users, can you find the people who are advocates or who can spread the mouth? Try to launch some referral program. I think anything would help. It's challenging. I wouldn't disagree.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Hi, Pamela. I just have a question in terms of, so we are a B2B SaaS company building in Ireland. I'm a Malaysian national, but if I wanted to, say, deploy my technology back into the Asian market, obviously, even though I'm Malaysian, I'm 20 years away from the country. So what would be the best go-to-market strategy? Say, for example, countries like South Korea or the Southeast Asian market, where there is a huge amount of digital transformations. It's something that we're grappling with, in the sense that, coming out of Ireland, we would always say, let's go to the UK first. But would you have any thoughts about the go-to-market strategy for B2B SaaS into, say, picking a country like South Korea, where the first language is not English? Well, it's in Malaysia, the business is done in English. So what would be, do you have any thoughts? I mean, it's a very general question, but do you have any thoughts about how European companies should attempt in the Asian market, say, for example, South Korea or Malaysia?
And why do you want to enter these markets, like beyond the, like, is that something you consider after Europe, or you would like to go there directly?
Well, I suppose two reasons. One is to get there first, you know, that's but also to as an alternative to say, you know, it's very standard to say that once you've conquered Ireland, you either go into the UK or into the United States. But we just thought, you know, maybe we should look at a market where our competitors are not really highly focused in terms of the, you know, in terms of our vertical, which is procurement technology, which is very, you know, there's high levels of concentrations in Europe and the US.
Okay. If I were you, what I would do is to try to find the people in the target markets who could be the local representative of you. So don't hire any full-time employee. Don't I think the very first step, or don't launch any just marketing activities like that. I think the very first step would be try to speak to people. People would introduce people, and then try to find a local representative as contractor in these markets, and they could tell you like, okay, if you are trying to launch, who could be your target audience, and if this person like try to do some interviews with these companies, and then to tell you, okay, this is actually a market which makes sense. What could be the challenges? What's the market size? And to reach out to the target audience, what other partners you need to build. So try to find a person who can do that for you as a contractor, or like, not a full-time employee to start with, for you to understand the market first before you do anything else.
Great, thank you. That's great advice. Thank you.
Thanks. Rajesh.
You're on mute.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute and I couldn't find it. I was on full screen. Hi, Pamela. Glad to have you here. And so basically, I'm the founder of Reach, an online home service booking company, and we also have a platform for service businesses to manage everything from getting new customers to all the way to build their reputation online. So that's a SaaS product. And we have this booking app for consumers like everybody here to search and book home service. Search and book their home service needs. Excuse me. Search and book their home service needs. I have a limited budget for marketing, and I have early traction at the moment. And we got probably £5,000 worth of appointments gone through the platform. The question I have is, I have limited budget for marketing. Google pay-per-click seems to be really expensive for the industries I'm focusing, ranging from £5 all the way up to £20 per keyword. For example, plumbers near me would cost me somewhere in the range of £20. But on the other scale, Facebook ads seems to be allowing me to reach more audience who are more consumer focused. I want your opinion on where to actually, we have a limited budget, keep that in mind. So please guide me where to actually keep the marketing focus on. Should I focus on Facebook ads or, something similar, or should I actually, bite the bullet and spend it on Google PPC? That's my question. Thank you.
Yeah. And what make you like different from other providers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we there are competitors who are doing similar thing, but if you look at a product as a whole, we actually offer a platform to do everything for a small service provider. For example, if there is a plumber, we take care of finding customers for them, managing their appointments, take online payment, build their reputation online, and they get free website. And they can hire subcontracts all through a single platform. And So right now, I'm only focusing on matchmaking, which means anybody looking for home services, I bring them to the customer, to the business partners. And once I'm able to actually build a lot of traction around it, I'm going to upsell my SaaS product, which will be this all-in-one business management software.
One idea is, can you leverage your B2B customers, the service providers, and give them some incentives for them to onboard end consumers or users to your platform? That's one idea. The other thing is, for you, like specifically, I'm actually on Facebook groups, like local groups, like Nextdoor. It's like people use Nextdoor. People also use local. I can tell you one thing, like a local moms group is very powerful. So like I live in like near Hampstead area. There's like Hampstead moms group. You ask any question there. So like you need people to fix your roof, or you need to host a birthday party. I don't know, people ask all sorts of questions on the platform, and I would trust more on people who tell me that than just Google. I don't trust Google, right? Even nowadays, I don't trust Google. It's crazy. But if it's like people who have used the service and people like the platform, I would weigh much more than just Google search result. So maybe that's another way to reach out to your target audience.
Okay, but for this use case, I mean, I understand Nextdoor is another option for marketing, but between the weightage of do you still think that Facebook ads can actually bring you customers, for a business like mine?
Facebook specifically?
Yes.
I think you have to, again, it can bring customers, but at what cost, right? So you need to measure how much it costs for you to onboard one customer and how much money they spend on your platform in a year time. I think it could be challenging.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Pamela. Yeah. Cheers.
Marco.
Hi, Pamela. Great session. Thank you. I have a business that is essentially a B2B SaaS for configuration management, this automated software migration. And the dilemma is, right, when you're approaching go-to-market strategy, essentially there are two ways, right? One is you go directly to customers. The other one is going through systems integrators who are ultimately going to be your users anyway, because they are just working for the end customers. The problem that there is that whenever they are not in a competitive situation, they don't want to be more efficient. So essentially, they don't want to use your software because, they essentially charge by the hour and all that. So it's not in their interest really to, let's say, be 60, 80% more efficient in the technical implementation. This is what I experienced in the past, right, as a major problem. So what do you think? What's the right strategy? I mean, obviously, I have very limited go-to-market budget, but you have to start somewhere small, right? So where would I, so it's either B2B or B2B to C to B essentially, right? What do you think?
So your customers are the not the system integrator, but their customers.
So yeah, they would pay, right? Because it's their systems that are being managed and implemented and migrated, right? So for example, I don't know, if you have an example, I don't know, Hsieh migrates from one IT system to another for, let's say, field service management, right? And that's a big, expensive project typically. And my software, what it does, it makes it much faster and easier and everything. But these kind of companies always hire, I don't know, Accenture or Deloitte or, these guys to implement those transitions, okay? So they are going to do the job. So my previous strategy was to just approach these system integrators and have them sell it to the end customers, essentially as their part of their methodology. But the problem, what I noticed is they only do that if they're in a really competitive situation, because then they can, come with a lower price than the competitors. Okay. But if otherwise they don't use it because they make more money if they don't pay me and charge for more hours. You see? So it's the question is because of the mixed motivations on the SI side, like, what is the what do you think? How should I approach this problem?
I think I probably touched on this earlier, like you need to find the right angle to work with the partner. And if it's going to be painful if they can't, when they help you, they are going to earn less money. It's going to be painful for them. So need to find the other angle, how you can help them to get.
So their profit margin goes up. Profit margin goes up, right? It's just that the total revenue is smaller. So if they're not overly busy, they would prefer not. I mean, once you have a network effect, you don't have a problem because then everybody's using it, right? So there's no problem. The problem is before you get to that point, you have to somehow incentivize people to use it everywhere, and I haven't found a solution really. So the question is it worth going directly to the customers? What do you think? I mean, you've been in B2B market. They will be less technical though, so they might not understand. Because it's a very deep tech product, right? It's a configuration, it's very like plumbing, really.
And what about going to smaller size of the business where they don't have a lot of budget to hire big companies to do that for them? Would that be possible?
But we can't do the projects for them. See, they need somebody to do it. It's not. We don't have the capacity. We are just doing the software.
Then the only way is you have to be able to find a way to incentivize the middleman and find like if you can help them sell faster, or like sell to more customers within the time frame, or sell something extra.
That's what I'm doing. That's my current strategy, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ed.
Thanks a lot for the insights, Pamela. I also have a B2B SaaS product. My background's in B2C growth, actually. That's why I'm way more familiar with performance marketing and product growth and all that stuff. But one of the things we're struggling with right now, we have a payment orchestration software for Web3 developers. Essentially, we help Web3 infrastructure companies like blockchain wallets, etc., launch banking products like debit cards and things like that. Right now, we've relied mostly on outbound marketing. So like essentially establishing a voice in the space, reaching out to a lot of CEOs, senior developers, etc., gathering feedback, validating products. And now we're sort of entering that phase where we've spoken to enough people that we finally have some inbounds. We have people coming to us asking about the product, and we want to lead most of the marketing that way. And I've just basically started looking into lead magnets, which I used before for other types of firms. And essentially the idea is just to publish content that's extremely valuable for that ideal customer profile, and make sure that they either book a demo, come talk to us, etc. I just wanted to know, like, if you had any tips to give insofar as like how to strategize like lead magnets, like ebooks or things like that can be valuable to your business customers, and also how do you distribute this material to maximize the impact of people getting back to you effectively?
I think, it sounds you are on a really great track. I would then start looking at distribution by partners as well. So for example, in your space, I know one company who helped Web3 companies set up legal entities across different markets. And also I know a company who do like crypto, like digital asset insurance. So I guess there are a lot of different players in the ecosystem, and they are probably even at a later stage than you do now. So potentially their client size is much bigger. So if you could partner with them to do joint webinars, joint ebooks, or guidelines together, and you could both share that to your client base, I think that's how you can maybe win some new markets that you, I don't know, at a efficient way.
Gotcha. Thank you. And as a quick follow-up, just like I've found also this other model where we have like some other software vendors that are complementary to what we're doing. So we're not competitors in any way, but we tend to work with the same type of clients. We've tried to basically start doing this thing where I've got this partner company that provides security services to Wallet. We provide banking services, and we're kind of like sending each other customers. So whenever they have a client that also wants to launch a payment solution, they'll send them to us. And at the same time, when we onboard a client and we know they have some security needs, we send them the other way. Is that something that you've seen work, and like, can you leverage that over a long period of time to really acquire a significant number of clients?
So in one of the companies I worked before, the biggest client source is from a partner. So that partner, when they onboard new customers, like these customers need digital asset insurance, then like it's kind of the minimum requirement. So if you can find a partner like that who definitely need your help to complement their service, I think you are going to get on with something.
Thank you so much.
We've only got 5 minutes left, and I'm just gonna jump in with a couple of more questions about your angel investing. And then there has been another question on the chat, which is about what else you're spending your time on currently outside of angel investing. So are you doing any fractional CMO work or anything? So do you want to just answer that one really quick, and then I'll ask a few questions?
Yeah. So I also do like fractional, CMO, Chief Growth Officer, advisory work. Yeah, I just like to stay connected to the market.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to get in touch with you about that, what's the best way for them to do so?
LinkedIn.
Cool. Which will be easy, but we can post your LinkedIn profile into the chat as well. So you covered a little bit about kind of the traction side of how a founder can stand out if they're pitching you. Is there anything else that makes you think that someone's delivering a really great pitch or gets your interest if you're hearing a pitch for the first time?
So I came across, on top of that, I came across like a few founders, and I actually put my money in them. So they showed me that they have unfair disadvantage. So they could be, so one of them, like they are providing data insights to chemical manufacturers. And essentially these two founders, they already built exactly the same thing in the previous company. And for some reason, the company didn't want that service to carry on, because of some, I don't know, restructuring issue. So they left the company and then they built exactly the same product. And she could show me that she knows, exactly how to build this product and exactly how to reach to the customers and who are the biggest customers in the market. And I just feel, I was feeling very, very confident with the service, because the product, because I know, she knows exactly what she's doing, and she has this unfair advantage because she got the insider knowledge kind of. So sort of. So that's something which would get my attention. And the other example maybe also, they provide loans to SMEs installing solar panels. And it's the same, like they already did their very thorough research. So he could show me that, this is the amount of loans which were applied last year among SMEs for this specific purpose, and what's the percentage of them, like 70% of them actually wasn't approved by the banks because of what reason, and they are the one who could solve that problem. And so I could see, this is the money left on the table, and they know how to take that money to their pocket. Yeah. So I think it's the size of the market and also what unfair advantage you have.
So size of the market, unfair advantage, and like traction and speed of growth. Is there any industries or business models that you're specifically focusing on?
So actually, no. My background is definitely on the e-commerce and also fintech. But in terms of my personal investment, it's quite agnostic.
Yeah, great. I'm just going to ask a few questions that I know otherwise people are going to ask you on LinkedIn to try and manage your LinkedIn inbox. Check size, what's your typical check size? I know you co-invest with syndicates as well, but as an individual.
So I do between 5 to 15K. And I'm also a venture partner of Simsam Ventures. Their ticket size is between 250 to 2 million.
Great, thank you. And is there anything that is kind of a red flag? So we've kind of looked at what the green flags have been. Is there anything that puts you off?
A lot of times when I review pitch decks, I would quickly see, you are solving some problem, but it's not the root cause of the problem. I would just switch, close the deck. The other thing is, during the conversations, if I see anything which is like what you say is not true, it shows you are not trustworthy, I would also just stop the conversation. Or there's something that for some reason you can't share with me, like you can't tell me who are other angel investors or who are the pilot customers you are working with. It's a bit strange, then I would close the conversation.
Awesome. That time went so quickly. Thank you so much for all of your insights and for joining us today. We will let you go, and then all the founders, please do stick around if you are interested in getting some live pitch deck feedback. Thanks, Pam.
Thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you. Bye.